everyone. It's 102 degrees outside. You're in here. You've braved the heat. You're devoting your Friday afternoon to making government even more awesome. You're people after my heart. So welcome. I'm glad to be here. I have a quick TED Light talk with you today, and I welcome the opportunity to share some insights with you. Like all of us here, the person standing before you is much more than who you can see. I'm here because of the professional me. I'm here because for the past 15 years, can you believe it? For the past 15 years, I've been delivering results in the federal arena. I started at the Department of Education, all manner of programs, everything from reducing class sizes in the nation's schools, to ensuring lower default rates for student loans, to going on and doing massive nationwide IT infrastructure deployments. You name it, I've managed it. It's been fun, and I've been surrounded by greatness. Very fortunate in that regard. Moved on in several other areas. I've managed, I hate talking about myself, makes me nervous. I don't like to brag. It feels like bragging to me, so I just will point you to this, read that, in your program. I have moved on to GAO, and I also am currently at the Transportation Security Administration leading a large-scale transformation effort. There's all these things that I've been fortunate enough to do, profoundly privileged to be part of, and just last year, OPM certified me as a senior executive service candidate. So it's been a tremendous journey. As a third-generation civil servant, it's been an honor, and that professional realm of me is a huge part. It's a huge part of who I am, and I have a lot of pride wrapped up in that. But like a lot of you, that's not all of who I am. One of the other many circles of me is over here, and that's a foodie. Yes. Do I hear an amen? I was actually just telling Steve on the way here, there's a farmer's market that's open until 6 o'clock across the street here. Producers only market, phenomenal. I had a great gazpacho and tarragon chicken salad, fantastic. But in the foodie realm, I'm the moderator of one of the largest DC dining websites in the area, johnrockwell.com, and we sit there and talk for hours and hours about all manner of restaurants, where to go eat. Who are the producers of the best artisanal cheeses? Where in the world can I go and drive 6 hours to get certain kinds of sausage? And that is what I do in my free time. So as a foodie, that is a huge part of who I am as well. And these circles overlap, and part of me being a foodie, by the way, I'm also a hiker to help balance it out, because otherwise I'd be a lot bigger than the person you see now. But in that foodie realm, there's a phrase from that realm that I think actually really works in the professional realm as well, especially in the public service mission, especially when we talk about making it a little more personal. And in the foodie realm, that phrase came from an 18th century gastronomer who said, "Tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you who you are." Big idea in a little package. I like it. It sounds like big T truth to me. Annette Simmons, founder of storytelling, big T truth. I love that concept. But the gastronomer said, "Tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you who you are," right? And there's all manners of ways that can pan out. There's legitimate lifestyle choices for eating however anyone eats. There are folks who are so busy, quite frankly, they're the ones who have to unwrap their food every day, just take what's available at the local convenience store and keep going. There are others of us that may have much more time, can grow our own gardens, can do what the slow food movement suggests and really do everything from whole foods, organically grown, sustainable, all that. There's a wide spectrum of what that means. But that phrase jumped out at me because it seemed like something I could actually apply in the professional world if we twist it a bit. And I want to play with it a bit today, real quickly, and walk through what that might look like. Instead of, "Tell me what you eat and I'll tell you who you are," I suggest we think about, "Tell me what you do and I'll tell you who you are." I do not mean you are your job. I do not mean that we are defined solely by what we do. But let's think about that phrase for a minute. Tell me what you do, and I'll tell you who you are. How many of you are actually from DC, live in this area? Many of you. When you're walking, say you were walking in the farmer's market and someone walked up to you to strike up a conversation, or you're in the park playing with your cousins, your kids, or whoever, or you're doing something just at a cocktail party, what's the DC question? What's that? What do you do? And how do we typically answer that? I can't tell you. I'd tell you, but then I'd have to walk away real quick like. So we typically define our, what do? We answer that with a job-related question, and I know I've answered that several ways. I know I've said I've dropped student loan default rates. I've answered it from a mission perspective instead of saying, early on in my federal career, I was literally looking at applications from colleges and universities, paper things. Can you believe paper? Oh, can you imagine? And I was making sure that that paper was complete and moving it on to the next guy, and that's how I would answer that question. I'm making sure applications are complete. But then I started thinking, I'm really actually ensuring access to equal education and promoting opportunity, and looking at it from the mission lens, and we can look at it from that as well. There's lots of ways to answer that. I'm going to get back to that, but I want to challenge you to revisit that, what seems to be an innocuous question, what do you do? It seems to be just a transactional inquiry, but it's a moment of greatness if you seize it. You can answer that in both the personal and professional realm and seize that moment of greatness, what you do. Tell me what you do, and I'll tell you who you are. Now more than ever, this is incredibly important. Especially starting off in our early careers, this stuff is hard. Complexity is getting more complex. Chaos is everywhere. Budgets are doing who knows what. This week is a perfect example of that. The super ideas, the breakthrough thinking that every one of you, especially new coming in, bring to the table, probably get shot down oftentimes out of the gate. There's 1,001 reasons to slow down, to get frustrated, to back off, to check out, to leave. Tell me what you do, and I'll tell you who you are. Is that you? I don't think so. So what's important, if you cannot map exactly what you do day to day to that capital M mission of your agency, of your entity, of your State Department, instead you've got a tool in your toolkit. You can get a clearer line of sight to your contribution, to your day-to-day contribution. And I don't mean that capital M mission. Single-handedly, none of us is going to put on a red cape and go change the way veterans' benefits are distributed across the nation. We can't do this stuff alone. Not one of us can stand up and tomorrow game change the way federal prisons are done. None of that is possible at the individual level. The kinds of changes we're trying to bring to government, the awesomeness we're trying to bring to bear, that stuff takes time. It's complicated. It's huge team efforts with oftentimes years and years and years of trajectories. So you're not going to see yourself in that capital M mission at the end of every day. There's no way. So what can you see? And I give you a tool for your consideration when you're thinking about. Tell me what you do, I'll tell you who you are. Emotional wake. I don't know if you've heard of that phrase. Sounds like a bunch of people crying at a party, right? Emotional wake. What it is, it's a concept from Susan Scott's tremendous body of work. She authored Fierce Conversations, Fierce Leadership. Mandatory reading for anyone in federal service, as far as I'm concerned, Susan Scott. And her concept of emotional wake is every conversation you have, whether it's live in person, whether it's online, whether it's on the phone, every time you talk to someone, you're leaving them with something, an emotion. Did you leave them encouraged? Did you leave them discouraged? Did you leave them optimistic? Did you leave them frustrated? I often leave people confused. So what can you do to think more about your emotional wake? Every conversation you have, online, in person, otherwise, you're leaving that behind you. And that is something I would suggest you can influence even more. Because tell me what you do, and I tell you who you are. That emotional wake and what you do with it is part of who you are. So we're talking emotions now. This is personal stuff. I've probably turned off half the room, and I haven't even said the F word, feeling. As a Myers-Briggs off-the-chart T, this feeling stuff makes me very nervous. Feelings are a little squishy, exactly. Go T's, capital T's. Those of you who are F's in the room from Myers-Briggs, I have profound respect for where you live. That is difficult stuff. It changes every day. There's no way to really predict it. You can't manage that. That's hard. I mean, that's really a difficult, challenging, fun, engaging place to live. But that feeling stuff, wow. But I offer that, especially to us T's in the room who err on the side of thinking through problems and thinking through things, that your emotional wake, you're also leaving behind as well. No matter where you are in the org chart, you have one. The people you talk to every day, above you, below you, beside you, the janitor in the hallway, that's an emotional wake situation. So thinking about your contribution, the other thing I want to encourage is your contribution is not just that. It could be setting others up for success. What are you doing to enable greatness in others? Again, higher up the rank you go, you can do that through leadership and much more targeted long-term strategic aspects, but day to day, all of us has the ability to set others up for success. We also can make the conscious choice to set us up for failure. But what are you doing to unleash greatness in others around you? Because if we all did that, imagine the results. Imagine what we could bring to the federal sector, to the nation, to the world, if we all set each other up for success. And what that means and what that looks like in your work environment is completely up to you. It's not one size fits all. If it were that easy, we'd all be doing it already. But setting your peers up for success, your subordinates, your superiors, everyone in your emotional wake is really what I think is an important call to action, because tell me what you do, I'll tell you who you are. So with that, I started with a foodie quote, and that was an 18th century gastronomer I quoted, and I'm going to end with Chick-fil-A. So, literally on the way here, a signature line of one of my colleagues jumped off my BlackBerry at me. Yes, I was BlackBerrying on the metro, but it was secure. The quote is from the founder of Chick-fil-A, and part of why this is more important than ever, this emotional wake thing. So you know how to tell if the people around you need encouragement? They're breathing. Absolutely. So now more than ever, those around you, above you, below you, the emotional wake, and what you can do, and you are daily empowered to influence that. So with that, that's actually all I have for now, and I hope that the emotional wake with which I've left you is towards the positive sides of things, and continue to do awesome things for government, and keep, as Steve says, keep being awesome. Thank you.